Going to call the special meeting of the Board of Aldermen to order on Tuesday, February 20th, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the Aldermanic Chamber. The prayer will be offered by City Clerk Dan Healy, and Alderwoman at Large Gloria Timmons will lead us in the pledge to the flag.
Almighty God, we have the high honor and the serious duty to manage the affairs of our beloved city. Fill us, O God, with a spirit of unity and understanding, which enables us to face our multiple problems with a serene mind, with justice and charity for all, so that any and all decisions made by us will always be for the betterment and greater happiness of all our fellow citizens. So help us God. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance, please.
Alderman O'Brien. Alderwoman Timmons.
Here.
Alderman Moran. Alderman Thibodeau. Alderman Govea.
Here.
Alderman Lopez. Alderman Sullivan.
Here.
Alderman Clemmons.
Here.
Alderman Senate.
Here.
Alderman Jettie.
Here.
Alderman Tebow.
Here.
Alderman Clee.
Here.
Alderman Dowd.
I am attending by Zoom this evening. I'm by myself, and I'm attending outside the meeting because I'm recovering from an illness.
Alderwoman Kelly.
I am here via Zoom. I can hear everyone, and I am attending via Zoom due to sick children.
Alderman Wilshire.
Here.
11 present, 4 absent.
I did hear from Alderman O'Brien. He wasn't feeling well. Alderman Moran left us a note that he wouldn't be here, and you heard from Alderman Dowd. Okay, also joining us this evening is Mayor Jim Donchis and Corporation Counsel Steve Bolton. Tonight's meeting is for the Mayor's State of the City address, and I'm going to turn it over to the Mayor.
All right, well, welcome everybody in the chamber here, those on the TV audience. This is the 2024 State of the City address. So good evening, President Wilshire, members of the Board of Aldermen, Police Chief Rourke, City Division Directors and staff, and community members. The state of our city. Nashua is strong and growing. Our population is on the rise after decades of no growth. Our economy is robust with jobs available. Nashua's finances are AAA rated. Our city and our neighborhoods are safe. Our downtown is thriving. We are fortunate to be living in Nashua in 2024, and I am looking forward and optimistic about Nashua's future. But before I begin talking in detail about the progress that we've made and the progress yet to come, I want to thank our 2,800 city employees who work every day to make Nashua a great city. The teachers who help our kids learn to read and compute, to think and analyze, to write and to communicate, and who guide our kids from kindergarten to career. Our firefighters, our first responders, who answer the call of emergencies of all kinds 24 hours a day. Our police officers, who keep us safe, who strengthen our neighborhoods with community policing, and who step up to be role models for the city's young people. The public works employees who fix, patch, and plow our streets, collect the trash and recycling, care for our parks, playgrounds, and public spaces. And, of course, our staff members who work in public health, in the library, and here in City Hall. I want to thank all Nashuans for again giving me the opportunity and privilege as serving as our city's mayor. As mayor, I listen to you and I learn from you. At the town halls and the wards we hold every year, at our many coffee with the mayor's gatherings, in City Hall and on main streets, at cafes and the farmers market. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and your dreams. I pledge that I will continue to listen, to learn, and to be accountable to you. I also want to thank my wife, Vicki, for all the support you have given me and for the sacrifices that you have made. Now, a guiding principle of my administration is to strengthen our local economy, and with it, the opportunity available to Nashvilleans, both adults and young people. Many of the issues I will discuss tonight, housing, education, downtown, infrastructure, the Nashua Riverfront, are tied to the goal of strengthening our local economy. Adding jobs and helping make our businesses more competitive is part of growing opportunity. To that end, the city partnered with BAE, our largest employer, to enable BAE to apply and receive a $35 million grant under the CHIPS Act. BAE will use these funds to upgrade its chip-making equipment and to make it more competitive in the fast-moving worldwide semiconductor industry. By maintaining the worldwide competitiveness of our largest employer, we are preserving well-paying manufacturing jobs for years to come. The city contributed $200,000 to a job training program to make BAE eligible for the grant. Thank you to Tim Cummings from the city and Tim Bishop of BAE for putting this opportunity together. Another positive development on the job front is the soon-to-open Can One USA at the formerly city-owned site off Burke Street where Ingersoll Rand once conducted its Nashua operations. Can One, owned by a Malaysian company, KJ Can, has invested millions of dollars to improve the former factory building and soon will employ up to 200 people making cans for soft drinks and beer. The business strategy is that there is no similar can-making facility in New England. Therefore, Can One will have a cost advantage in the New England can market, in which companies such as Anheuser-Busch and Coca-Cola buy billions of cans annually. Another fundamental goal of our administration is to improve the quality of life for Nashvilleans through an excellent system of parks and public spaces, including a downtown and a riverfront they can enjoy. We have wonderful parks: Greeley Park, Mine Falls Park, Roby Park, and many others. Coming soon will be our project to improve the Nashua Riverfront and the reimagining and rebuilding of the library park between the public library and the city's Court Street building. A shortage of housing continues to be one of our most significant challenges. For years now, the demand for housing has greatly exceeded the supply. This has caused rents to rise and housing values to skyrocket. The vacancy rate for apartments is 0.5%, when a balanced market is considered to be one with a vacancy rate of 5%, 10 times what we have. For single-family homeowners and for those seeking to buy a home, the average home price has risen to $437,000, according to Zillow. Our housing shortage is an outgrowth of a strong economy, of our location within the Boston metropolitan area, and of the fact that Nashua is a place where people want to live and raise their families. The opposite problem is suffered by many cities in the U.S. and is far worse. More people moving away than moving in, home values plummeting, even vacant and boarded up houses, people who need to move or downsize unable to sell their homes. Certainly, Nashua homeowners have more equity and more wealth than ever before. But even this increase in wealth for Nashuans who own homes has its negative side effect. The state-mandated revaluation, which Nashua was required to conduct in 2022, caused property taxes for homeowners to rise. But we are working every day to bring much-needed housing, both affordable and market rate, to our community. We have added housing at Lofts 34 on Franklin Street, at Riverside Landing near the Hudson Bridge, at Monahan Manor on Central Street, which is 216 new housing authority units, with nearly all of them affordable. We have added 22 units at the former Indian Head Bank Building on Main Street, 150 units of workforce housing at the corner of Marshall and East Hollis Streets, and elsewhere. The apartments in the former Indian Head Bank Building on Main Street opened in the last few months, and they filled up almost immediately. I used to have the office in the front right corner, and I would like to know who lives there now. Be interesting to find out. Now this week, 150 housing units will be opening at the High Street Flats in downtown. Many of these apartments have views unlike any in Nashua, and this will be a great place for young people to live. 46 units are well underway at the NeighborWorks City Project at 249 Main Street, right across from CVS, and 180 units are under construction on Bridge Street. We have also authorized a total of 600 units at the former Corvo-Ruthier site on Temple Street and the site of the former McElwain Shoe Factory at the corner of Temple and Spruce Streets. However, one frustration is that the owners of these last two sites are holding the properties for sale rather than building much-needed housing. The Corvo-Ruthier site has been authorized for housing for over 5 years, but still remains vacant. In this evolving East Side residential neighborhood, which we've called the Rail Yard District in the past, we are vigorously defending the unanimous decision of the Planning Board to deny the application for the construction of a downtown asphalt plant, which would be totally inconsistent with the residential vision we've had for that area for a long time. Two exciting projects are at the city-owned NIMCO site just off Veterans Memorial Parkway near the Milliard Smokestack, and the other is on the former Mohawk Tannery site. After receiving proposals from housing developers and conducting interviews, a committee comprised of staff and 2 aldermen have selected a developer to build about 295 units of housing on the NIMCO site, 20% of which will be affordable. We expect this project can be completed in the next couple of years. At the Mohawk Tannery site, we developed a public-private partnership with federal EPA and developers Bernie Plant and Blaylock Holdings. $16 million will be spent on an EPA-approved cleanup plan, which will consolidate, contain, and cap the tannery waste, which has polluted the 40-acre site for decades. I want to thank the federal EPA for paying for most of the costs of this cleanup. 550 units of housing will be built on this Mohawk site, over 200 apartment units and the remainder being condominiums for sale. 20% of the rental units will be affordable, and the developers will contribute $2.3 million to the city's Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And finally, 10 acres of open space will be preserved for public use. And I can't leave the subject of housing without discussing the city's Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Out of the $16 million in federal ARPA funds that Nashua received, the Board of Aldermen devoted $10 million to the trust. These funds will be used to stimulate the development of housing in Nashua. The trust is governed by a team of citizens who will advise us how to best deploy the funds. Now, our schools are vital to our future and the future of our city, and they are essential in attracting the young families we need to ensure that Nashua remains a great city for decades to come. Our mission is to prepare our kids for careers and for real life. To fulfill our mission, we need the best environments in which our kids can learn and in which our teachers can teach. And to that end, we have undertaken the now nearly completed Middle School Improvement Project. We are excited about the completed expansion and the renovations to the fairgrounds and the Pennachuck Middle Schools. And this coming August, we will open the new Brian McCarthy Middle School to replace the obsolete Elm Street School. The new school will have on-site athletic fields and other amenities. All three of our middle schools will have state-of-the-art technology, and all three will be solar-powered. As mayor, I have sought to develop a culture of problem-solving and innovation. And I want to discuss several recent examples of innovative work that the city is doing. Last April, we launched National Community Power. This innovative approach towards lowering electric bills has already saved Nashua consumers over $3 million on their monthly electric bills, because the rates that Nashua Community Power offers for power have been lower than the Eversource rates. For the past 8 months, Nashua homeowners and Nashua small businesses have been paying less for electricity than our neighbors in Hollis, Merrimack, and Hudson. New Hampshire Community Power, of which we are a part, is a coalition of 17 cities and towns in New Hampshire. However, only about 10 of these municipalities launched community power with us in April. Nashua alone constituted almost half of the customers of the cities and towns that joined together for this early launch. Without Nashua's volume of customers, I don't believe that community power would have gotten off the ground. So our culture of innovation and the leadership of energy manager Doria Brown has saved millions of dollars for Nashuans. Another example of innovation is the partnership between the Nashua Police Department and Nashua Public Health. By working together, we developed an innovative approach towards law enforcement. The police department will tell you that 98% of their calls do not result in an arrest. Police officers respond to many calls where people are agitated or upset or are facing a mental health crisis. When a uniformed police officer responds to one of these calls, a person who is already agitated can become more upset or aggressive. Now, the idea of adding a social worker to the police department came at a Crime Watch meeting held at the Caribbean Breeze right next door that was organized by Alderman Tom Lopez and attended by Deputy Joe Fay, Captain Tom Boland, and myself. Following the meeting, Chief Kevin Rourke and Public Health Director Bobby Bagley worked together to use grant funds to assign Leah Elliott, a trained social worker, to the police department. Last month, I spent several hours with Leah. Leah responded, along with several police officers, to a call made by a family in downtown whose mentally ill family member had become aggressive and threatening. Leah explained the procedure of an involuntary emergency admission to the family. Leah will follow up with the subject of the call to try to ensure that he maintains mental health and does not become the subject of a police call again. We intend to continue this program because it results in a better police response. Another innovation, Nashua Public Health also developed an approach towards the problem of homelessness in our city. Now, being homeless can result from many causes: loss of a job, a divorce, mental health issues, drug use. The best result is to help each person find a solution to the underlying cause of his or her homelessness, address the underlying cause, and enable that person to get back on his or her feet. Nashua Public Health, again using grant funds, has hired a group of community health workers called CHWs to go out to camps, to tents, and to other locations where unhoused people are staying in order to talk with each person and determine what each person may need. In the first 3 months of this innovative program, the CHWs located over 70 individuals. The CHWs find that people living outside have various needs. Some need housing. Some need IDs so they can get work. Some need transportation. And some need drug treatment. The approach so far has had results. In the first 3 months, the CHWs found 8 people jobs, and 4 of those people were able to keep their employment. The CHWs got 3 people into drug treatment programs, got 2 young adults into the federal Job Corps, found permanent housing for 3 people, and found shelter space for 3 others. The community health workers are going out every day in our cold winter weather and are continuing to work with people on the street. We will not solve the problem of homelessness unless the state and the federal government take a more active role in providing housing for those in need. However, I believe we can, on the local level, right here in Nashua, continue to find ways for our unhoused residents to stabilize their lives. We want to continue the CHW program in the years to come. Another innovation has been developed at Nashua Fire Rescue. Nashua, like other cities, is having difficulty attracting firefighters to protect our residents. Chief Buxton of Nashua Fire Rescue, Tom Hooley, president of Local 789 of the firefighters, and Administrative Services Director Tim Cummings developed an innovative approach to help our firefighters. And it helps them pay for insurance in the gap between their retirement and when the firefighter reaches the age necessary to qualify for Medicare. This innovation is called the MERP, or Medical Expenses Reimbursement Plan. As part of our firefighters' compensation, the city contributes to an account for each firefighter each month. These funds are retained until the firefighter retires and can then be used to pay for medical coverage. We are finding that this innovation is helping Nashua Fire Rescue recruit new officers, and I am happy to say that we have no unfilled firefighter positions. Cities are defined by their downtowns. Not only is the downtown the heart of any city, but downtown is an indicator of how that city is doing. If there are many empty storefronts, if there are vacant parking spaces in front of any store you want to stop at, if small businesses are failing, these are signs of trouble for the whole city. Nashua's downtown is thriving. Restaurants are booming. New businesses are opening. Amber and Cole Morgan have established themselves on West Pearl Street. Amber bought Fort and Gage, and Cole started Coffee and Kindness at the former location of the City Room. The Yoke Grill recently opened on Elm Street and is drawing large crowds. The Hidden Pig, which opened last year next to the Nashua River, is doing well. And Chicken and Biscuits just opened next to Bicentennial Park on Main Street. Jeff and Leslie Bois, who operate Stella Blue, also opened Pearl on East Pearl Street, and they will be opening the Union Public House at Main and East Pearl within the next few months. Michael and Ian Buckley converted MT's Local to Mike's Italian Kitchen, and both that and Surf are doing so well that Mike and Ian are opening another restaurant and brewery out on Amherst Street. The Nashua Center for the Arts is drawing thousands of people to our downtown. We have acquired a new service called Placer AI, which uses cell phone data to count people in any public place. This data shows that the Nashua Center for the Arts in the first 8 months has already drawn 69,000 people to Nashua's downtown. The Center for the Arts is actually a tourist destination because 68% of those visitors are from outside Nashua. And about 9,000 of those patrons visited one of Nashua's restaurants either before or after a show. The largest number of people have come to the Nashua Center for the Arts between 6 and 8 p.m. As retailers adjust to the time of this new surge in foot traffic, they can benefit even more from the new visitors to downtown. Looking forward, I believe we should focus on a number of priorities. A critical priority is continuing to spend our tax dollars wisely in order to provide efficient and effective city services. We were recently recognized for the second year in a row as the third best-run city in the U.S. This recognition is based upon our delivering city services effectively, delivering them efficiently, and upon keeping our city spending at a low level per resident. I worked hard with you, the Board of Aldermen, this past year to unanimously pass a lean budget and to bring in a tax rate that was up less than 1%, the lowest rate of increase in the national tax rate for 15 years. I want to continue working with the Board of Aldermen on this priority of spending our tax dollars wisely. We need to exercise fiscal discipline and set priorities regarding the borrow of funds of money for capital projects. Right now, the payment of debt service, meaning the principal and interest payments on city debt, which is supported by property taxes, amounts to about 7% of the city budget. In order to keep the tax rate as low as possible, we need to limit the debt service payments so that this portion of the budget does not grow significantly. There are many unfunded capital projects, and depending on the cost estimates you attach to each, they total over $250 million, more than the city can afford over the next 5 years. Therefore, President Wilshire and I have appointed a special committee consisting of President Wilshire and 3 members of the Board of Aldermen, myself and 3 city directors. The goal of this committee is to review the potential capital projects that are in waiting, and then to set priorities as to which projects are the most important and which should be undertaken in the next 5 years. Looking forward, a second priority is the conservation of precious natural resources and the creation of great public spaces that everyone can enjoy. A project that will create a great public space is our Nashua Riverfront project. After a lengthy period of design and environmental permitting, the Riverfront project is going to get underway this spring. The project will create a continuous river walk, providing new connectivity for downtown Nashua, for the surrounding neighborhoods in Mine Falls Park. It will add new green space within the river corridor, and we will continue with the active management of landscaping along the riverfront. There will be an expanded Renaissance Park with a performance space that will provide opportunities for recreation and community gathering. And the project will add suspended walkways like the one at Peddler's Daughter at the other 3 corners of the Main Street Bridge. Another reimagined public space will be a new library park. Thanks to Congresswoman Annie Custer and Senator Jean Shaheen, federal funds were secured to build a newly designed public park and playground in Library Plaza. We held a public input session at the library in early February, and we received many suggestions as to how to refine and improve the park's design. Again, looking forward, maintaining a safe city and safe neighborhoods has to continue to be a fundamental priority. We will continue working with our police and fire departments to give them the tools they need to accomplish all that they do. Proudly, Nashua was found last year to be the 2nd safest city in America. As part of this commitment to safety, we need to focus on pedestrian safety. On a national level, the number of pedestrian deaths resulting from vehicular accidents are now on the rise. We have actually had fatal pedestrian accidents right here in Nashua. My wife Vicki and my family has been affected twice in the last few years by pedestrian accidents. Both my daughter and my niece have been hit by cars while in crosswalks, and in each case sustained serious, but fortunately not fatal injuries. We have already begun work on pedestrian safety. We have added, the Public Works, Elisa Photo, added flashing warning lights to crosswalks on Main Street to alert drivers that pedestrians are crossing. We are adding flashing warning lights to the crosswalks on East Dunstable Road between the Everett Turnpike and Main Street, which will improve the pedestrian safety on a heavily traveled corridor through a residential neighborhood. We are undertaking a corridor study on West Hollis Street to improve safety in that corridor. We need to employ traffic calming measures where speeding is a problem or where there are many pedestrians in order to slow down traffic and reduce the likelihood of an accident. A fourth priority in the coming years will be continuing the improvement of our infrastructure. Our paving plan of action has repaired or paved 80% of our streets. We will keep paving and fixing our streets, replacing or repairing miles of sewer pipes, and rebuilding our sewage treatment plant. And finally, a priority needs to be continuing our work to bring passenger rail service, along with the resulting jobs and economic development, to Nashua. In view of the opposition to passenger rail by a majority of the State Executive Council and the State Senate, we are now focusing our efforts on investigating a Nashua first approach, which would bring rail to Nashua as a first step towards connecting southern New Hampshire to the Boston economy. Nashua first passenger rail service would be much less costly than the full build-out of the Capital Corridor Rail project, which would run all the way to Manchester. And right now, there is an unprecedented amount of federal money available for rail projects. In the years ahead, Nashua will continue to be successful if we keep working together and if we look to the future with optimism. Nashua is a great city, and a city we are proud to call our home. Let's also commit ourselves to being kind to one another. Together, we can make sure that Nashua will flourish and prosper for generations to come. God bless the great city of Nashua, and thank you all for your service.
Thank you, Mayor. Alderman Clemmons, do I have a motion?
Yes, Madam President, I would like to move to adjourn the meeting.
The motion is to adjourn. All those in favor
No,
say
you
aye.
have to do a roll call.
Oh, yes, that's right. Sorry, Dan.
Alderwoman Timmons.
Yes.
Alderman Thibodeau.
Yes.
Alderman Govea.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Sullivan.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Senate.
Yes.
Alderman Jettie.
Yes.
Alderman Tebow.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes.
13 yeas, 0 nays.
And we are adjourned at 7:34 PM. Thank you, everyone, and thank you all for being here.